Will somebody tell me if we're supposed to start the program?
Freeman hits the ball to right field.
Into right field. She is gone. Oh, what a pass. Doncic, perfection there on the assist.
A little magic from Doncic.
Stafford takes the shoulder, takes a shot downfield. It is caught by Nakua. He picked him on his shoulder and made the catch.
One of a kind player. One of a kind season. Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Dumping in on the count. LeBron James at the buzzer.
This game's in the Admiral refrigerator. The door is closed, the lights out. Butter's getting hard, the eggs are cooling, and the jello is jiggling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the LA Sports Roundup Podcast. My name is Mike Andrade, your host. We're sitting here recording live Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. I hope everyone listening is having a great start to their week. We're recording on a Wednesday, so that means it's hump day. You have 2 more days to the weekend, and then it's Halloween. Halloween is definitely one of my favorite holidays. If not, you could probably argue that Halloween is the GOAT of holidays. I mean, obviously you have Christmas, you have Thanksgiving. People love Christmas. Mariah Carey has already probably started popping up on some radio stations or some Macy's in the mall already. But Halloween, you can't beat it, man. Just the costumes, the atmosphere, the decorations, everything. And plus, candy. Who doesn't love candy except for diabetics out there? But I digress. We have a lot to get into today, guys. We're going to start with the big story that's been happening in LA. And of course, it's the World Series, the LA Dodgers versus the Toronto Blue Jays. As we're recording this, we were tied at 2 games apiece. Last night was a heartbreaking loss. In Game 4, we lost at a final score of 11-4, but that's coming off the heels of Game 3, where the Dodgers won in 18 innings. I know, yeah, I know everyone knows, 18 innings. They played a whole nother ball game in extra innings in Game 3, where they finally pulled through 6-5 in that game. And it looked like the Dodgers had all the momentum, but you got to give credit to the Blue Jays. They just fought hard, and they're an extremely good team. They're in the World Series for a reason. For the Dodgers in Game 1, Blake Snell had an okay game. He had an okay game, and things really just didn't get off the rails until Blake Snell was pulled from the game. That's when the Dodgers put in their bullpen, and then things just went to hell after that. You know, the bullpen was the number one thing that people were talking about coming into the playoffs, and then in the playoffs. And in Game 1 of the World Series, it happened. The bullpen let off, I believe, like more than 3 innings in that 7th inning, and by the end of it, the final score was, I believe, 11-4. But then we get to Game 2, where Yoshinobu Yamamoto just put on a masterclass, going through the entire game in the World Series. Think about that. Pitchers do not play the entire game anymore. I mean, maybe that happened back in the 50s, but they don't do that anymore, let alone in the playoffs, let alone in the World Series. That doesn't happen. But Yamamoto did it again. He did it twice. He has done it twice in this playoffs, and he did it in Game 2 of the World Series. That if that is not elite status, then I don't know what is, because that is just craziness, to be honest. And look at his stat line in Game 2. 9 innings he went, with only allowing 4 hits and 1 run. I mean, look at his ERA was 1.57. I mean, that's truly remarkable for a pitcher, especially in the World Series. And a guy that's he is our ace with Blake Snell, but man, yeah, for our Game 2 starter to go like that is incredible. And then we get to Game 3, where Tyler Glasnow was on the mound. And you know what, Glasnow? He did an okay job. He let up 4 runs, but he did an okay job up there, all things considered. I mean, the bats were flying up there. But he went through 4 and 2 innings, letting up 5 hits and 4 runs with an ERA of 1.50. Glasnow wasn't Yamamoto out there, but he did a commendable job, I would say, all things considered. But I want to go through the list of Dodgers pitchers that pitched during Game 3 that went into 18 innings. First, we had our starter, which was Tyler Glasnow. But then we went to Anthony Banda, who pitched 1 inning. And then we went to Justin Robleski, who went an inning in 2. Then it was Blake Trinan, who went 1 out, along with Jack Dreyer, who also went 1 out. And Roki Sasaki, our closer during this playoff. He went 1 inning and 2, and then that's where things turned around to Emmett Sheehan, who went 2 innings and 2 outs. He actually pitched the longest of any of the pitchers that went into extra innings, but he ended up loading the bases around, I believe, was the 15th inning, around there. I could be wrong, but around the 15th inning. But then after he loaded the bases, that's where we brought in the legend, Clayton Kershaw, which possibly this could have been the last time we ever see Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers. He only went 1 out, but think of it. I mean, this could have went horribly for Clayton Kershaw. Think of it. His last time appearing for the Dodgers on the mound in the World Series, Game 3, in extra innings, the bases loaded. It could have went horribly. The last time Clayton Kershaw was out there against the Phillies, he let up, 2 home runs? And it was bad. It was all bad for Clayton Kershaw. And I know he was really frustrated, and I know he didn't want to go out that way. And he was hoping to at least get on the mound in the World Series. But we didn't think it was going to happen like this with the bases loaded. And boy, did Dave Roberts really trust Clayton Kershaw to get through that. And you know what? It worked out. He got through it. With the bases loaded, Clayton Kershaw got through that. We already had 2 outs. All he needed was 1 more out. And thankfully, thank God, Clayton Kershaw got through it without any runs being scored. And that's probably going to be the last time we ever see Clayton Kershaw on the mound in a game ever. So, no, it is probably. I mean, I can't imagine he's going to be out there in a Game 6. He could possibly be out there in a Game 6 or 7. Maybe even tonight. We'll see. Game 5 is still yet to happen. But I think that's going to be the last time we ever see Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers and in his career. But then in the final innings, we went to Edgardo Henriquez and Will Klein, who basically shut it down in those last few innings to get the win for the Dodgers. And then we all know what happened in that 18th inning. Mr. World Series did it again for the Dodgers in the 18th inning, hitting a solo shot home run to win the Dodgers walk-off style to get the victory in that Game 3. And wow, Freddie Freeman, man, did it again. Can you believe this guy? Last year in Game 1 versus the Yankees, hitting that grand slam walk-off, which, you know, it's always going to be in Dodger lore. This is going to be right up there with it. An incredible moment, to say the least. An incredible moment for Freddie Freeman, for the Dodgers organization, and to carry out momentum for the rest of this series. Now, we go to Game 4, which was yesterday as we're recording. To say the least, the bats were not alive. The Dodgers could not get hits when they needed them to. They got a run early by Teoscar Hernandez. But that was pretty much it for the Dodgers in terms of hitting. Mookie Betts is struggling in this World Series. Has not really contributed much whatsoever in this World Series. He had a decent playoff, I would say. But in this World Series, I'm not looking at a stat line right now, but I mean, he's struggling to hit the ball. And in order for the Dodgers to have success in these next games, Game 5, 6, and 7, we're going to have to see something from Mookie Betts. Shohei Ohtani, as great as he has been, he was the pitcher last night. He did okay, going 5 innings and 1 out. As great as he has been, you know, he can't do it himself. Freddie Freeman, he's been good. You know, he obviously comes up in clutch spots. But, you know, you can't rely on those two. Now, look at the rest of the Dodgers team. They're going to have to pick up the bats as well in order for us to get the job done. Let's look at the run scored. In Game 1, Toronto hit 11. Game 2, I think, you know, they only had 1 run. But Game 3, they had 5. And then in Game 4 yesterday, they had 6 runs. And so the Dodgers are going to have to outduel them on the bats. But the Dodgers are going back to Blake Snell tonight on the mound. And he had an okay Game 1. After, you know, like I said, after he was taken out of Game 1, that's when things went off the rails. So we'll see how many innings he's in there tonight. Hopefully he can go the distance, as much as the distance as possible. I'm not asking him to be Yamamoto out there. Even though Blake Snell did do it against the Brewers, it's possible for him. Let's see how long he can be out there, because truth be told, the Dodgers cannot rely on their relief except for Roki Sasaki. Sasaki has been phenomenal in that reliever role, but he's the only one that I trust out there right now going forward for Games 5, 6, and 7. So it's going to be absolutely critical that Blake Snell goes as long as he can, at least until the 7th inning. Then you can get Roki Sasaki out there. Maybe Blake Snell can get up to 8 innings, but at least until the 7th inning, so you can get Roki Sasaki out there to close it out in the 8th and 9th, because I don't trust anybody else out there, to be honest. Clayton Kershaw barely got through that one out that we needed him to, and thank God he did, but I'm not even putting him out there anymore. Now, with that said, it's a must-win for the Dodgers in Game 5. Now, probably, as you're hearing this, we're going to know who wins tonight in Game 5, but it's the last home game for the Dodgers of the season, so it's so important that we get the victory tonight and carry that momentum going back to Toronto. Personally, I wanted the Dodgers to wrap this series up, win the World Series on our home field. That's not going to happen, but hey, let's get that job done. It don't matter if it's at home or on the road. Let's just get it done. All right, job's not finished, and we have to go out there and handle business on our home field tonight because it's the last home game, and we're going to go back up there at least for Game 6, if not Game 7. And so it's important. It's important to handle business tonight, and the Dodgers have to win. They have to win. Switching things over now to the NFL, we're going to talk a little LA Rams. The Rams are coming off their bye week in Week 8, and they're coming off with a little bit of momentum on their side, coming off a huge win in London, England a couple weeks ago. But they got through that game. There was a lot of concern going into that game, especially because there's no Puka Nacua, who sat out during that week with an ankle injury. Altogether, it really didn't matter because the Rams ended up blowing out the Jaguars in England 35-7. And it was really a tremendous victory for the Rams. They've now won 2 games in a row and are tied with the Seattle Seahawks for first place in the NFC West. One of the big reasons why the Rams carried out that victory in such tremendous fashion was our QB1, Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, my God, a game of his career, going 21 of 33 with 182 yards for 5 touchdowns. If you started him in your fantasy leagues, you had a great day because 5 touchdowns, 182 yards for Matthew Stafford. I mean, what back injury, right? We're all so concerned with his back injury coming into the season. We didn't know what kind of status he would be at in terms of his health, where he would be at in terms of, just being at an elite status. We were so used to Matthew Stafford over the years being at an elite status. We didn't know where he was going to be coming off of that back injury, but what back injury? It seems like it's non-existent at this point. I mean, what can we say for the guy that just keeps doing it? Our only hope now is just that it can continue and that he can sustain this momentum for the rest of the season and heading into the playoffs in January. But with Puka Nacua out, you know who stepped up. It was Davante Adams. He had 5 receptions for 35 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, look, you knew that Davante Adams was going to eat up with Puka Nacua out, and he certainly did. And the more time he has out there with Matthew Stafford to get comfortable in that offense, it's only going to do the Rams better. We can rely on Puka Nacua when he is healthy, and we have relied on him heavily now that he is our wide receiver 1 out there. It used to be Cooper Kupp, but now it's Puka Nacua. But, we can only target Puka Nacua so many times because defenses already pick up on it. And so having Davante Adams out there, an elite wide receiver, a Hall of Fame worthy wide receiver, that it's just going to do better for the Rams over the long run when we can get him more acclimated with the offense. But quick shout out to Kanata Mumfield, who had his first NFL touchdown with the Rams in England against the Jaguars. Davante Adams had this to say about Kanata. He reminds me so much of myself, a young Tay. He's ahead of where I was when I was a rookie. He's got all the ability in the world. So as far as whenever I am done in there, he will go and step up, and he will be catching a lot more touchdowns than he did today. Kind words by Davante Adams on Kanata Mumfield, and hopefully he can be somebody that the Rams could maybe target in the future when we need him to. But looking forward to Week 9 against the New Orleans Saints, Rams head coach Sean McVay said wide receiver Puka Nacua and offensive lineman Rob Havenstein are expected to return to practice on Wednesday, and they should be ready to go for Sunday's game against the Saints barring any setbacks. Wide receiver Tutu Atwell was put on injured reserve on Monday, making room for newly acquired cornerback Roger McCreary. So yeah, the Rams actually made a trade this past week. The Rams have acquired cornerback Roger McCreary and a conditional 2026 6th-round pick from the Tennessee Titans in exchange for a conditional 2026 5th-round pick. So good pickup by the Rams here. McVay did say that the move was influenced by the Rams in part of just being banged up at cornerback. They've already been out Ahkello Witherspoon with a broken clavicle for the next 6 weeks, and Darius Williams came out of week 7 against the Jaguars with a shoulder injury. So this left the door open for the Rams to make a trade, and they capitalized on it to bring in McCrary. So it's unclear whether McCrary will play against the Saints on Sunday, but the Rams are getting back Puka Nacua, and they look strong. So the Saints are not doing well this year. They're starting off 1-7, and they're a mess. So the Rams really have to capitalize on this and to get the job done and get the victory against a weakened Saints team. All right, last but not least, let's get into a little bit of Lakers basketball. The Lakers started off the season, now they're 2-2. They lost their last game against the Portland Trailblazers, but they've been banged up. They've been really banged up. A lot of guys are sitting out right now. I know Marcus Smart is out, Jackson Hayes is out, obviously LeBron is out, and Luka has been out. Let's talk about Luka first. Luka, after the game against the Warriors, he dropped 43 points from 17 of 27 shooting from the field. He also grabbed 12 rebounds in that opener against the Warriors. It was a loss, and it was not a great team effort, I would say. There was a lot of things left to be desired during that game, but it was just one game. I wasn't really too up or down about it. And then we get into the win against Minnesota last Friday, and what a game it was for Luka. In 35 minutes, dropping 49 points, going 14 of 23 from the field, and grabbing 11 rebounds and 8 assists. Holy cow. 49 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. Now, I've said it all along here. If you guys have been listening throughout the summer, I think Luka is on pace to win the MVP this year. It's really comparable, I think. If you look back, if you're a longtime Lakers fan, remember the 2005-2006 Lakers, where Kobe was just going absolute bananas every game. It's the year that he had 81 points. Kobe was just untouchable on the field. And he was the only guy doing it on the Lakers that year. The only guy. Yeah, they had Lamar Odom, but that was pretty much it. And it very much resembles what that season was. Now, obviously, the Lakers have a lot more talent than that team had. Obviously, we have LeBron James, who's been out, but he's going to come back at some point, and he's going to be our number 2 guy. That's what LeBron James is at this point. He's our number 2 guy, and that's not a terrible place to be when you're 41 years old. He's still our number 2 guy, and things are going to be a lot easier for the Lakers in terms of their offense when LeBron James does come back, because LeBron James is a facilitator out there. But what I'm trying to compare is when it's Luka just out there with Austin Reeves, it really just seems like the Luka show out there. We'll get to Austin Reeves in a second because he's been tremendous. But Luka Doncic is on pace for the MVP, and he's averaging 46 points a game. My God. He's averaging in 2 games, granted, it's just a very, very sample size, microdose sample size, but he's averaging 46 points in 2 games. That is unheard of. 46 points. Now, look at it. Obviously, is he going to sustain that for the rest of the season? Absolutely not. It's going to dip down. But could he average 35 for the season? Absolutely he can. I think Luka Doncic, barring a major injury, knock on wood. You hear that wood? Knock on wood. A major injury, for good measure, he's going to win the MVP this season. He can average 35 points a game, and as long as LeBron James does come back and LeBron James is healthy enough to contribute for the Lakers are going to be in a good position. Now, we can talk about Austin Reeves. Austin has been incredible over the last few games for the Lakers to start the season. Let's look at his stat line the first 4 games of the season. Against Golden State on the opener, he had 26 points, 9 of 16 shooting from the field, 5 rebounds, and 9 assists. Pretty good, I would say. Pretty dang good. It was a quiet 26 points. It just kind of seemed like he was getting picked on defense a lot during that game. But 26 points is nothing to sneeze at, especially when you're grabbing 5 rebounds and 9 assists at the guard position. Then, against Minnesota, 25 points, 9 of 15 shooting from the floor. That's really efficient. Let's pay attention to that. If you're going 9 of 15 from the floor, that's super efficient in the NBA. You really want to be there as an offensive player. 9 to 15 from the floor, it's incredible. But you're grabbing 7 rebounds and you're giving out 9 assists. That's incredible. That is what a second option is supposed to be giving you at this point. A playoff team, a guy that's supposed to be the number 2 guy on that playoff team is supposed to give you 25 points. Is supposed to be that second banana out there. And that's what Austin Reeves is doing with Luka out there. Now, we'll get to the 51 points against Sacramento. 51 points off of 12 of 22 shooting, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. Holy cow. A career high for Austin Reaves, 51 points. And that was without Luka Doncic out there. That just goes to show that Austin Reaves, when it comes down to it, without any of our other star guys out there, could get the job done any given night. He is that good of a player. And look, Austin Reaves, you can say whatever you want about him, his size, but you cannot say anything about his heart, his will, and the fact that he has improved every single year since he's been in the league and on the Lakers. I mean, this guy has just been absolutely growing in front of our eyes, and it's incredible to watch. The team celebrated him after that win against Sacramento, just showering him with love. It was tremendous to watch. Austin Reaves. Now we can get to his contract status, which the Lakers are going to have to pay him eventually. They're going to have to pay him. It comes in question to whether the Lakers do see him as a number 2 guy alongside Luka Doncic for the foreseeable future. Do they see that? Could he be the number 2 guy when LeBron James actually leaves? Right now, it's a very microdosed sample size, but he's showing you that he can. But the Lakers are going to ultimately have to make that decision for themselves on Austin Reaves. Is he the number 2 guy? Because with that is going to come a long, extended max contract. Do the Lakers feel that Austin Reaves fits that role alongside Luka Doncic? That's a big decision for the Lakers to make, because essentially you're giving out a max contract to this guy where it's going to eat up at your cap space. Now, I mean, there's going to be players all around where they're going to be looking at to help bring in talent to surround Luka Doncic with, right? But do you give that max contract to a guy like Austin Reaves, who may have a ceiling? I think he's an all-star caliber player, right? But do you give that max contract to a guy that has all-star caliber potential? Or do you try to give it to a guy that's proven? Maybe you try to go swing a trade for a Giannis out there, or whoever's available for the Lakers to feel like they're going to be the best fit around Luka Doncic. LeBron James is not going to be on this team after the season. Now, he hasn't announced anything yet, but I think there's a 100% chance he's not going to be on this team after next season. I think the writing is all over the wall with that. He's going to play out the season with the Lakers, and after that, he may retire, he may not, he may go somewhere else. But I think his days as a Laker are going to be done after this season. So with that, his money is going to come off the books. So it's going to be a very important decision for the Lakers to make who they decide to give that max contract to, around Luka Doncic. They could just try to fill that with role players, but does that win you a championship? I don't think so. You're probably going to have to get that next elite superstar to surround Luka with. Could it be a Giannis? Could it be anyone else out there, that's a free agent? Or could they swing a trade for somebody, right? But if ultimately they're going to have to pay the person. And so that's where it comes down to. Does Austin Reaves fit that criteria where he's worth that supermax contract where you're going to give to that second banana around Luka? It's an interesting topic, I think. The better Austin Reaves plays, the more intrigue is going to go around his contract status, because he's going to be earning that contract, whether it's going to be with the Lakers or it's going to be with somebody else. And I hope it's with the Lakers. As a Lakers fan, you want to see a guy that's, we've grown up with in terms of seeing his growth, and it's important. You have those kind of guys that you kind of raise up from the ground. It's important to have those guys on your team, and it would be a really cool story for the Lakers to win a championship with Austin Reaves, as that, maybe not the second piece, but maybe the third piece, right? It'd be really cool to see that. All right, you guys. We talked about a lot in this short amount of time. I want to thank you guys for continuing to listen to Lace 'em Up Sports Media content, and continue to listen to LA Sports Roundup Podcast. I want to promote everything that we have going on right now. You can find us on our social medias, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, Lace 'em Up Sports, all throughout there. Please give us a follow, subscribe, watch our content. We're on YouTube. This podcast will be on YouTube. We're going to take snippets from that and disperse them into other areas. I thank you guys for listening and just supporting us in this journey that we have and just creating content. And I thank you guys. And so I really appreciate it. Continue to spread the word about Lace 'em Up Sports Media. It means so much to me. And thank you guys for listening. I appreciate that. Until next time. See ya.